Kiss guitarist Ace Frehley was honored and beloved by fans until the very end. His passing left a deep void in the music world, one that echoed through generations of rock lovers who grew up idolizing the man known simply as Space Ace. In the wake of the musician's death at the age of 74 on Thursday in Morristown, New Jersey, fans around the world poured out their hearts in grief and gratitude, celebrating a man whose riffs defined an era and whose personality helped shape the soul of Kiss. Daily Mail took a closer look at one of the most touching reminders of Ace's legacy, his final Instagram post. The image, shared on September 24th, just weeks before his passing, captured Frehley sitting beside a fan named Glenn. The post told the story of Glenn's painting, a tribute to Frehley's work and a symbol of how deeply his music touched people. The art featured a hand holding a heart, inspired by the lyrics from his song, Rip It Out. The caption from Frehley's account read, "Glenn wanted to share her VIP with Ace on the 10,000 Volts tour, and her painting is a hand holding a heart referencing the lyrics of Rip It Out. Rip it out. Take my heart." Of course, Ace signed it. It was a pure moment of connection between artist and admirer, frozen in time, unaware that it would become one of his last public messages. Only days later, tragedy struck. Frehley suffered a devastating brain bleed after collapsing in his home studio, reportedly hitting his head during the fall. Those close to him said he had been working on new material that day, lost in his usual creative flow, surrounded by guitars, amps, and memories of a lifetime spent chasing the sound of rock and roll perfection. The incident led to his hospitalization, where he was placed on a ventilator as doctors fought to stabilize him. Despite their best efforts, his condition worsened. TMZ reported that Frehley had been on life support for days, with minimal signs of improvement. The heartbreaking decision eventually fell to his family, who gathered at his bedside to say their final goodbyes before turning off the ventilator. Frehley passed peacefully, surrounded by those who loved him most. His representative, Lori Lucerarian, confirmed to Rolling Stone that his health had deteriorated following a recent fall at his home, though the exact details of his decline remained private. The news spread quickly, sending shockwaves through the music community. Fans and fellow musicians flooded social media with messages of remembrance, sharing old photos, concert clips, and heartfelt tributes that celebrated Frehley's role not only as a guitarist, but as a pioneer of rock theatrics and sound. In the days before his death, Ace had made one of his last public statements, a bittersweet announcement canceling the remainder of his 10,000 Volts tour. "It's a difficult decision," he wrote, expressing regret over disappointing fans, but few knew the real reason was his failing health. Those close to him said he had been pushing himself too hard, determined to keep performing, because the stage was where he truly felt alive. When the news of his passing broke, his family issued a heartfelt statement obtained by Rolling Stone. They expressed the profound grief that came with losing not just a musician, but a father, brother, and friend. "We are completely devastated and heartbroken," the statement read. "But we are grateful that in his final moments, we were able to provide him with comfort and peace. In his last moments, we were fortunate enough to have been able to surround him with loving, caring, peaceful words, thoughts, prayers, and intentions as he left this earth." They continued by honoring his legacy, saying, "The magnitude of his passing is of epic proportions and beyond comprehension." Reflecting on all of his incredible life achievements, Ace's memory will continue to live on forever. His family also spoke of his humor, warmth, and unique spark, qualities that those who knew him best said could light up any room. "We celebrate his laughter, his kindness, and the way he made everyone feel like they were part of something larger than life." As the world mourned, details of his funeral emerged. The ceremony was held in New Jersey, near his hometown roots, in an intimate gathering that blended the solemnity of loss with the electrifying spirit of his music. Fans lined the streets outside the chapel, many wearing Kiss makeup or holding guitars, flowers, and vinyl records. The air was heavy with emotion, yet filled with reverence and gratitude. Inside, a soft instrumental version of New York Groove played quietly as attendees arrived, his signature anthem and a fitting reminder of the city that shaped him. Close friends, bandmates, and family members spoke in remembrance, each recounting stories that reflected the duality of Ace Frehley, the rock legend who could set arenas ablaze with his solos, and the humble man who loved comic books, good jokes, and late-night studio sessions. Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, and Peter Criss, though no longer bandmates, each sent floral tributes and personal messages of respect. A large arrangement in the shape of a lightning bolt, an homage to Ace's stage persona, stood beside his casket. His coffin, simple but elegant, bore a single silver guitar pick resting atop it, a symbol of the music that defined his life. As the service drew to a close, a live recording of Shock Me, one of Frehley's most iconic performances, filled the room. Tears turned to smiles as those present remembered the energy that once made stadiums erupt in thunderous applause. It was said that at the very end, when the final notes faded, the crowd broke into spontaneous applause, as if cheering him on one last time. Outside the church, fans held a small candlelight vigil. Many spoke about what Ace's music meant to them, how his riffs inspired them to pick up a guitar, to dream, to be unapologetically themselves. Some wore vintage Kiss tour shirts from the 1970s. Others carried handmade posters reading, "Thank you, Space Ace." The emotion was raw, genuine, and deeply human. A global community united by the power of his art. After the funeral, Frehley's body was laid to rest in a private family ceremony. His resting place was chosen for its tranquility, surrounded by trees and sunlight, away from the noise of the world that had once celebrated him so loudly. It was a peaceful conclusion to a life that had burned bright for decades, a man who lived and breathed music until his very last days. Even in death, Ace Frehley's influence remains alive. Fans continue to share memories and stories online, celebrating his decades-long career, from the formation of Kiss in the early 1970s to his powerful solo work. His signature guitar sound, marked by explosive solos and cosmic flair, continues to inspire new generations of musicians. Music historians have often called Frehley the soul of Kiss's sound, a compliment he once brushed off with modest laughter, saying, "I just wanted to play what felt right." Those who knew him personally describe him as kind, funny, and surprisingly down-to-earth. Despite his fame, Ace never lost touch with his roots. He often spoke about growing up in the Bronx, discovering music through family records, and dreaming of a day when his guitar could take him places he'd never imagined. That dream became a reality, and far more. His journey from a kid in New York to one of rock's most recognizable figures became the ultimate rock and roll fairy tale. Now, his legacy carries on in every record, every tribute performance, and every fan who ever strummed along to Cold Gin or Shock Me. His impact wasn't just in the music, it was in the energy, the individuality, and the unapologetic creativity he represented. As one fan at his funeral said through tears, "He didn't just play guitar, he made the guitar talk." And perhaps that's the most fitting summary of Ace Frehley's life. He was never just another musician, he was an energy, a force, a reminder that music has the power to transcend time, pain, and even death. Though he may be gone, his spirit continues to electrify stages, headphones, and hearts around the world. Ace Frehley will forever remain the original Space Ace, the man who brought stars down to earth and taught us all that rock and roll isn't just a genre, it's a way of life.